Shalom and welcome everyone to the ICEJ webinar series. I'm David Parsons, Vice President, Senior Spokesman with the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem. And we're still continuing to cover Israel's war with Hamas in Gaza and on other fronts in the north with Hezbollah, in the West Bank with several terror militias. And today we're dealing with the latest news about the Rafah operation, where Israel went in and took control of the Rafah crossing on the Egyptian border. And we're asking, is this real, or is it just a measure taken to create more pressure on Hamas to do a hostage deal? Is that the real priority right now? And our guest to help sort this out is IDF Lieutenant Colonel in the reserves, Yaron Buskila. And I've gotten to know Yaron over the recent months after he spoke to a solidarity mission we had here. He's the CEO of the Israel Defense and Security Forum that's led by General Amir Avivi, who we've had on before. First time to have Yaron on. It's great to have you here. Yaron, good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
Yaron served as a deputy brigade commander, a battalion commander, commander of the Southern Command Infantry Training Base. He's been with the Gaza Division, several decades in the IDF. Also served in the Central Command, was responsible for classified operations carried out by elite IDF units in Judea, Samaria, and his unit even received certificates of merit from the President of Israel for their outstanding work and achievements in the war against terrorism. Now, I want to let you first sort of tell us what is your connection with Gaza itself? I know you've had a long one, and what were you doing on October 7th when this started? I've asked this of our guests lately. Where were you? What did you first do? And I know you have an incredible story. If you can tell us about that, Yaron.
Yeah, so first of all, my current role is the operation officer of the Gaza Division in reserve. So just after I retired, I was serving for 24 years in an active duty. And immediately after I retired, I've been asking what would I like to do after my service. If I want to stay in the army in a reserve unit, if I will still want to serve my country. And I said, of course, I can retire from the army, but I can't retire from Israel. I can't retire from my nation. It's still part of me. And of course, that I want to serve my country. And I decided I asked to be the operation officer of the Gaza Division. And 4 years just after that, October 7 happened. And you talked about Rafah, which is right now, the operation is the third part of the operation in Gaza. But I think before we'll speak about Rafah and what are the goals of Rafah, our objectives, I want to start with my personal story, which I can think give a kind of a brief, a kind of a specific angle about October 7 from my personal view. So I would just want to share with you my presentation. So 1 month ago, we celebrate to our son his bar mitzvah, and we celebrated in Kibbutz Be'eri. We celebrated in Kibbutz Be'eri, and immediately after we finished the celebration, I walked in the kibbutz path back to this wall. This wall, what you see here, this is a wall of one of the houses in Kibbutz Be'eri, house that belonged to a family that was murdered in a very brutal way by the Hamas terrorists, by these vicious animals. And right after they murdered this family, they took this spray that they brought with them from Gaza, and they wrote in Arabic, the above, if you can see in Arabic, Hamas. A couple of hours later, our soldiers got back exactly to the same place, exactly to the same place. They killed this terrorist, and they took this spray, the same spray that they used, and they wrote in Hebrew, Am Israel Chai, the nation of Israel is alive. And I stood in front of these words, tried to endure the pain of these people, try to endure the doom, and try to remember everything that happened to me beginning on October 7th. And when I saw these words, I was thinking to myself, that's exactly our story, the story of the nation of Israel. Am Israel Chai. That's the story of 7 October. That's the story of Yom Kippur War. That's the story of the 6 Days War, of the 1948 when Israel was established. That's the story of 2,000 years in the exile. That's the story of the deportation of Titus 2,000 years ago. That's our story. And at the same moments in my memory, I was thrown in my memory to the entrance of the Urim base. Urim base is located not so far away from the Gaza Division Base Command. But in October 7, I woke up at 6:30 a.m. to the siren alarms. And I thought that this is just a regular rockets, not something different. The same like we've been used to in the last years. And I tried to do my way to the Gaza Division Base Command. I thought that this is just a couple of hours.
You live near Ashkelon, so you're
I live like 40 minutes away from the Gaza Division Base Command, next to the beach between Ashdod to Ashkelon. Very, very close. Usually it's taking me like 14 minutes to get to my base. But in the 7 October, it took me 3 hours to get there because all the way was full of terrorists that blocked the road and killed everyone to just get in. And since I knew this area very, very well, I used some of dirt roads to get to the base. And as I got in, I was faced with more than 40 terrorists that was all around this base, me and some other officers. And I tried to get to the operations room in the Gaza division, but we were just 10 soldiers, and there was 40 terrorists inside. So my commander told me, listen, you cannot reach the operation room, so I want to send you to the Urim base. Urim base, military base, it's just 15 minutes from there. And I wanted to build and to start to create a new operation room and try to understand the full picture, to stabilize the situation, to send our troops to all over whenever we need, to the villages, to the Nova Party area. So I got to this base, I got in, and I opened one of the rooms that's supposed to be the operation room, and the room was empty. There was nothing there except of some tables and some chairs. And I look in this empty room and I felt helpless, powerless. How should I manage full division from here? A couple of minutes after that, some other officer came and I said, okay, we have to start with something. So I took out my cellular from my pocket And I look at my cellular. I wanted to start to make some calls to some officer to send them, and I saw like dozens of calls that I didn't get, and I didn't hear the rings because of the shooting around. And then one more call came in, and I answered, and I didn't recognize the number. And what I hear was that, "Hi, my name is Miri. My daughter, she's in a real plight. She's climbed on a tree. There are terrorists under the tree. She was in the Nova party. You have to save her. I'm sending you her location and the WhatsApp location, and I want you to get there. I heard that you are the operation officer of the Gaza division. Try to help her." I didn't even finish to talk with her, and another call came in. My friend, a good friend of mine, his name is Shai Levi, he's a military commentator of the Mako website in Israel, and he lives in Kibbutz Nirim. And he told me, "Yaron, my brother, you have to come in to help me. I'm holding the handle of the door. All of the terrorists are outside of the door of the safe room, and they're trying to break in. You have to save us and to send someone." And then another call came in. It was an officer from our commando brigade, and he said, "Listen, I just came from my house. I heard that there is disaster and there is such a big mess, and I'm standing in one of the junction, and can you give me some soldier to send me somewhere?" And for the next 7 hours, I was just using my cellular, me and some other officers, some of my peers, and we sent a lot of units that we just reached them by the phone from our cellular all over Gaza, the villages around Gaza, the kibbutzim, farms, on the road, the Nova, to the military position that was attacked by the Hamas. Some of them couldn't even get there. They was killed on the way because the Hamas terrorists they knew that there was a lot of units that will come, and they were waiting, and they made some ambush on the way. So many of the soldiers died after I sent them to some of those locations. And after 7 hours, my commander came to the same base. He is a commander in reserve as well, a brigadier. His name is Owen. He lives not so far away from the Gaza division, and I spoke with him like immediately in the morning, 6:30, but I didn't know what happened to him. So when he came in to the base, this is Owen. I told him, "Owen, where have you been?" And he couldn't speak. His face was white. He got into the bathroom, he locked himself for 20 minutes, and after that he came out. He held me in my shoulders, shook me, and said, "Yaron, we have to start into work." And I told him, "What are you talking about? We're working in the last 10 hours. That's what we're doing." And I didn't know that on his way to the Gaza Division Base Command, he got exactly to the Nova party, and he was fighting just with his own gun, his pistol. And he saved dozens of youth and evacuated them from this area. So he told me, "Listen, we have to start them to work." And I told him, "Listen, we cannot work from here. You see, this is an empty room. There is no radio here. I'm going back to the Gaza Division Base Command." So he said, "Are you nuts? They will kill you. There are many terrorists on the road." And I said, "I don't care. I have to get there. We cannot save people from here." So he told me, "Listen, this is an order. You're staying here. If you will leave this base, you will die." And I say, "You are my commander in reserve. I don't take your order, and I'm leaving." And then one of my officer, I'm a lieutenant colonel, he's a major, he jumped into my car. His name is Eli Dimentman. He told me, "Yaron, I'm coming with you." And I said, "No, you're not." He said, "Why?" He Said, you listen, your brother just killed 10 months ago in a terror attack in the north of the Judean Samaria. You're not coming with me. This is too dangerous. So he said, Yaron, we can't save my brother. He's already died. But maybe we can save someone in the villages. And then immediately after that, 3 girls in reserve, very young officers, jump into the car and say, we're coming with you. I told them, you know what, that you know that this is very, very dangerous. I'm not sure that we're gonna get to this base. They said, I don't care. We don't care. We're coming with you. So we left this base. And from the first moment that I just left this base, when I just went out of this base, I couldn't imagine what I'm going to see. For 1 hour, and this is usually a way of 15 minutes, we were driving just between bodies of soldiers, bodies of civilians, Israeli civilians, bodies of terrorists, burned cars. It looked like hell. I could never imagine that I will see something like that. 2 days later, I took a video of the same way that they did, and I want just to share that with you.
My. This is at the Nova Music Festival near Kibbutz Ra'im.
No, not so far away, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was horrible. And when I got to the Gaza Division Base Command, for the next hour till the morning, we had 3 main missions. The first one was to block the way of the terrorists out because they were just keep kidnapping and civilians and soldiers inside Gaza. Second was to evacuate all of the Israelis that were still inside the villages. So because there were still some terrorists inside the villages. And third was to try to pursue and to find all of the terrorists still left behind, because they planned to attack, and they did it actually. All of the rescue teams that came, and there was waiting in a lot of areas in the south of Israel. We were working like a machine till the morning. On 5:30 in the morning, my commander told me, listen, Yaron, I want you to go and to rest for 2 hours and to come back because I need you. We're a very long day. So I went to my car. I wanted to rest in my car, but I couldn't. I felt that I have to do something. I have to do something and to help some other people. So I took my car and I started to drive from one village to another. Because I said, I have to try to myself, because I have to try to participate in with all of this rescue team and to do something and to maybe I can save someone. But unfortunately, there was no one to save. Everyone there that already stayed there was died. I saw a shocking sight, horrible sights. After a couple of hours, after 1 hour, sorry, I felt on my knees and I felt like my breaking down because I couldn't stand the vision and these sights. So I drive back to my Gaza Division Base Command, and on the way back, I felt such a shame, such a frustration. I was asking myself, how could it happen? How could it happen to us, to the strongest army in the Middle East? How can we leave these people in the villages to like that, to this vicious animal, to kill them like that? why we were not there just in time to save them. When I got to the base, a couple of hours later, my commander told me, listen, Yaron, I want to send you to another mission. I want you to go to the one of the operation at one of the other military bases to cooperate with one of the units, some of our missions that's going to happen in the next day. So I drove there, and on the way, was the first time that I saw the picture of victory. So you're probably asking yourself, what kind of victory can you see 24 years or hours, later? I want to share that with you and try to explain it. On the way, I saw a line of thousands of cars. All of these cars are private cars, belong to our soldiers in reserve that came by themselves to the army. Nobody called them. Nobody sent them a message. They just came by themselves, one after one. A line of cars of people, 350,000 soldiers that just came by themselves to fight for Israel. When I saw this picture, I was thinking about that. Do you see these Hebrew words?
Yes.
That's the word that I used to say every Shabbat night in the synagogue. And I never would give it too much attention to these words. But this time, when I was doing my way, when I saw all of these people, all of our soldiers, citizens, they're not in active duty, I was thinking about these words more carefully. And I first time that I understood it. It said, "Itna'ari me'afar kubi." Stand up from the dust. That's your time. This is your time, nation of Israel, to stand up from the dust. And just think about how deep in the dust we were before 7 October as a divided nation, clash with each other. And on October 7, we were deep, deep in the dust. Very deep in the dust. The next sentence say, Livshi bigdei tifartech ami. That's your time to wear the uniform of the nation. This is a very old words. What are the uniform of the nation, if not the uniform of the IDF? Like once you share this uniform, everyone is equal. Everyone become one unit. If before 7 October, the diversity and the clashes between so many groups in Israel were so hard, right now we are all one unit. Al Yad Ben Ishai Bet Alachmi. This is the third sentence. The same like King David, war. What is King David war? What was so special about King David wars? King David has two names. We said in the Talmud that his second name was Adino Ha'etzni, the gentle and the good. This is his second name. Why? Because in his private life, he wanted to live a gentle life, the same like you, David, same like me, same like believe all of your audience that listening right now. All of us just want to raise our families, our kids, to pray to God, to go to the synagogue, or to go to the church, or gentle life, to travel. But once he was going to a war to protect Israel, he was strong like a wood. And that's the time to leave the gentle now behind and to be strong like a wood to fight against the evil. And then the last sentence is, Korva el nafshi ge'ala, because now This is the redemption. What is the redemption? That's the redemption is when it's a vision and something that like is you can just imagine it, you can not experience. No, the redemption is the unity. The unity, once we're all becoming one unit, this is the first step of redemption. So that was the first picture of winning. 1 week later, I saw the second picture of winning, and I will share that with you now.
I know what this is. This is people coming out to feed the IDF, to feed the soldiers.
What you see here, this is only 1 point from several points of citizens from Israel,
Yes.
of civilians from all over the world, Jewish, Christians, that came to Israel and they start to open special points just to support the soldiers, to give them food, to give them socks, to give them a hug. It's not that in the army we don't have food, or it's not that in the army we don't have socks, but the people from all over the world, and I'm telling you, David, from all over the world, I saw them and I spoke with them. They all came and just said, we want to participate, but the way that we can participate, just support you, to give you the spirit. And I felt that what we're trying to say, you can look forward. You can plan the next move. If you look backward, you will see us. We are here. We are behind you. Don't care. We are here. The third picture of winning was 1 month ago, 1 month later, when I got in to Gaza, one of the attacks, and I joined to one of the units there. And just after I got inside, I'm going to show you, right? I got into the houses, and on every house I saw that the soldier putting on the walls letters from young kids from all over the world. So I asked the commander of this brigade, why are you doing that? Why you're not first of all starting with taking the sandbags and putting on the windows? Why are you starting with putting these letters on the walls? So he told me, Yaron, I got an order from my commanders to attack Gaza. Do you see this notebook? This is the order. But I tell you the truth, that's not the real order. The real order is what you see on the wall. This letter is what they got to these young kids from all over the world. Because what are they asking me to do? We want you to win. We want you to bring peace. We want you to protect us. I want all of my soldiers to see these letters and to remember why we are here. We are not here just to conquer Gaza. We are not here just to kill many people. No. We are here to protect the Jewish people in Israel. That's our mission. That's our command. This is our order from these young kids. And I have a lyric personality. So I remember I was thinking about a song that was writing by Chaim Nachman Bialik. He's a Jewish author,
Yes,
writer. And 100 years ago, exactly in October 7, 100 years ago, he wrote a song about the attack of one of the villages in Ukraine. I think it was in Ukraine or Russia.
Yes.
And Khmelnytsky attack. And he was writing this song, and I'm not going to read you all of this song, but he's describing exactly what happened in October 7th, but just 100 years ago, when the rioters were just made a raid on this village. And he said in the first part that they got into the houses and they killed the women and the men, and they raped the men in front of the eyes of their men or the husband. And all of the husbands and the men, what they did, they were hiding behind the barrels of the wines and the oil, and they were just praying to God, please God, I'm praying to you. I just pray that it will not happen, come to me. Save me from that. They were they saw the women raped and killed, and they're praying, please save me, God. I don't want to die. And I was thinking to myself, that's not our story right now. Because the last line of this song, that's the difference between what happened 120 years ago to what happened now. Because right now, we are not praying to God when we are hiding behind the barrels. We are coming all together to fight and to save and to protect Israel, because now we have a Jewish army to the Jewish nation. The problems that we are having now, this is a new kind of problem. This is a problem of a nation that have its own country. This is not a problem of a nation that in the exile, that don't have his own country. This is kind of a trouble that sometimes we need to hug and to say, thank you, God, for having Israel, so we can fight, so we can deal with problem like that, and not deal with a problem of nation that hiding behind the barrel and just praying to God to help them without have any ability to fight back. So the first perspective is to understand that this is only a milestone in our way, is a redemption of the journey of Am Israel. And the second thing that I learned, that I always need to ask myself, where God expects me to be just in time. In every part in my life, in the army, after the army, now in the IDSF, in my organization, in October 7, every time I need to ask myself, regarding to Yaron Buskila, Lieutenant Colonel Yaron Buskila, what God expects you to do, where you expect you to be just in time now in life, with my abilities, with my skills. And I think that God is looking about any person in the world and expecting him to be just in time with his abilities. Everyone has special abilities, special skills, and special mission. And this is my perspective for October 7 and for my experience in the IDF. Thank you.
Okay. These are powerful and very touching testimonies of your service in the IDF. You weren't even called up yet from reserves on October 7th, but you went voluntarily, and like so many other Israelis in that footage you showed of the long line of people trying to get to the front lines to help. It is very touching, very powerful. I want to bring us up to the present and ask a couple questions about what's going on down in Rafah. Yaron, we've seen the IDF go into Rafah, which is the first phase of a major operation. Right now, it's limited to take over the Rafah crossing. It's only a mile or so from the Israeli border. They could have done this at any time, but they've done it now. And even the Israeli War Cabinet said in a statement that it's to help create more pressure on military pressure on Hamas to get a better hostage deal, to get one in place here. So is this a major operation that's going to continue, or is it the priority right now in this operation is to help get a better hostage deal?
So there is a big question if this operation is going to continue. First of all, because as you probably know, the Biden administration don't want us to keep in this war and to cover Rafah. Although that even the Biden and his team know that if we want to eliminate the Hamas, we have to get into Rafah because this is the last area that we didn't got inside and fight inside. So there is a full brigade that's still in Rafah, Hamas brigade, and some of their companies that belong to the Hamas and some battalion that move from the north to the south. And we know that their supreme leaders are hiding in the tunnels inside Rafah. And of course, some of our hostages, or most of our hostages actually, are there. And I think that regarding to what's happening right now in the United States, all of the protests in the universities, in all around the United States, and the Biden administration and the government are actually focusing right now on the elections. So they push Israel not to get into Rafah and not to stop the war exactly where we are right now. So if we will do that, it means the Hamas will stay in Gaza. We will recover. He will recover his abilities to rule inside Gaza and to be the leader and to keep his governmental ability and keep his army abilities. So we have to do that, especially if we want to evacuate our hostages.
And still have all those hostages in hand. Yeah, I totally agree. The American administration, the Biden administration, all their pressure and criticism of Israel only helps Hamas and would hand Hamas victory. It's not so good. Why didn't Israel go and take the Rafah crossing months ago? They could have done it at the very start.
That's a very good question. The answer is that there were this agreement with Egypt. Egypt didn't want us to go next to the border. It said that for them, it can make all of the civilians, of the Arabic civilians in Gaza, escape to Egypt, and they don't want to have them, although that they're Arabics, of course, although that most of the people that living in Gaza are Egyptian originally, and they didn't want to get them and to let them get in. And I think it was a mistake. I think that Israel is supposed to decide to do that, to block the way and the tunnels that crossing from Gaza into Egypt. And this is a mistake, one of our mistakes.
Do you think Israel is now going to, the IDF will keep hold of the Rafah crossing? Because in a way, it makes Israel responsible now, in control of all the crossings into Gaza. They now got to feed the people, or will there be a tactical withdrawal back to help if it's required to get a hostage deal?
Yeah, so first of all, you have to understand that this crossing gave a lot of money to the Hamas. Everyone that was crossing in this point into Egypt, for adult, they were taking $5,000, and for young, $2,500. And that was feeding even the Egyptian that was responsible for these tunnels. Actually, it was belonged to some of the supreme officers of the Egyptian, this tunnel. They got a lot of money from that.
They don't get paid good salaries, and they take bribes.
Exactly, yeah, give them a lot of money. but we have to move forward, I mean, into Rafah. And right now we're trying to see if the Hamas will change its framework about this negotiation, about this deal. If it will, because right now he don't want to release a lot people that are alive. But he said the first 33 people, we will decide if it will be a bodies or alive people. Mm-hmm. And that's something we cannot accept. And they want us to stop the war, and we cannot accept that as well.
It does have to be embarrassing to Hamas that, some IDF tanks roll in and within an hour they got control of the Rafah crossing, the one crossing that Hamas controls on the Gaza side, and did it with ease. And, it's got a signal to the people of Gaza that Hamas really can't stand up to the IDF. It's right there in front of them.
But you have to understand that this time they understood that they don't want to fight in this area after they learned that we're getting in the open area where it's very easy for us to take over. So right now they are barricading in the center of Rafah and not in those areas and the open areas.
So the rest of the areas are going to be tight, urban alleyways, a lot harder to fight for the IDF where tanks really can't get and all.
Yeah, it's very dense area, and the tanks cannot get in. So we have to fight from one house to another. That can be tough, but we have our abilities. We know how to fight even in a dense area, and we have our special technology. And the same like we did in Gaza, in the center of Gaza, it was dense area as well. We will do in Rafah. And for them, this is their Stalingrad. This is their last part, and they don't want it to get in. They understand that if we will take over and we will win in Rafah, we will break the Hamas. We will eliminate the Hamas.
But do you support, would you support Israel, the IDF going all the way to the sea along the Philadelphia corridor and go through Rafah and go ahead and take control of that whole border area?
Of course, I support of fighting and winning the evil. They are evil. Mm-hmm. We have to make sure that the Hamas will not exist anymore after this war. If we want to do that, we have to take this Philadelphia corridor to hold it, to find all of the tunnels that crossing into Egypt. They smuggled all of their weapons. They even smuggled women from Ukraine to some of the men there. They smuggled cigarette and especially ammunition. And if we want to make sure that the Hamas will not exist anymore, we have to do that. And that will bring peace even to the civilians inside Gaza that are not involved in terror, if we will make sure the Hamas does not exist anymore.
Yeah, I think that doing that, Israel taking control of that whole border area on the Gaza side, it's a message to Egypt. We don't trust you. All the weapons and rockets and everything that's found in Gaza, it got in there through Egypt. And, they're not going to like it, but you're probably right. It's necessary. I understand Israel is also creating a security buffer zone all along the border with Gaza from Zakim all the way down to Keren Shalom, that whole stretch. This is underway right now, isn't it? It's already being created. Yes. A mile or so wide.
So this is buffer zone is the range is 0.7 mile. This is 1 kilometer, and we're trying to make sure that nobody coming close to this area, except of some farmers that are coming there, and we let them to work. But we have to secure our forces. We have to secure the villages right now. And after we will eliminate the Hamas, we will need to think about, again, what we're doing with this area. If we will give that back or not. If we will make this buffer zone smaller, much more tiny than it's right now.
that's to push back the threat of snipers, of these guided anti-tank rockets, and of short-range mortars, to push it back
Yeah.
some from the border area to make Israel safer. Okay. And what do you think the long-term solution is in Gaza? I understand from a guest we had last week that the United Arab Emirates is going to help feed the people of Gaza. Is that better than Qatar? It sure seems so. Goods coming in through Cyprus. What some of these ideas for post-war Gaza? What do you think is the best solution?
So the question is, who is going to be the leader in Gaza after the Hamas? But let's start with saying who's not. Who's not the Hamas? Of course, not the PA, because the PA is just another kind of terror group, but with license, with the license of the UN, even the license with the Israel, because they're still fighting against Israel. They're feeding the terrorists. They're giving money to all of these terrorists that was attacking in October 7, giving them money to their bank account. So this is another kind of terror organization, so not the PA. I believe that in the first or 2 years, Israel should be the responsible for what's happening in Gaza Strip. The same like happened before 1992. We did it for between 1967 to 1992, but we need to hold it for between 1 to 2 years, and then to create a new leadership from Gaza. And there's a lot of tribes and groups, families, like very big families and strong families that want to take the responsibility for Gaza, and we can split, gives some of these tribes the responsible for the south of Gaza, some of them to the north. The same like happening in the Emirates. The Emirates are split into a lot of tribes, and the same thing need to be in Gaza. And I hope that by the time, and of course, like to leave us the opportunity to fight against the terror in Gaza, because finding all of these underground tunnels and killing all of these Hamas terrorists will take time. But in the end of the day, if they will change their mind, if they will want to live in peace and not to fight against Israel, and they will really want to make Gaza to Singapore, the same that they said before 2005, before we left Gaza and we took out all of our citizens from their 21 villages. So, okay, but if not, we have to secure our villages and our citizens again and make sure that October 7 not happening again.
Yeah, this is like you're right about the United Arab Emirates. It's ruled by tribal elders, and they're united, United Arab Emiratis. And I know Ariel Sharon back in the 80s proposed the League of Village Elders for Palestinian self-rule in Judea, Samaria, in the West Bank, and he got shut down. But it's actually how Arab society is built. The tribal elders normally rule, but Hamas wiped them out, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We thank you for your time and your insights. We thank you for the story of your bravery in a long career in the IDF, wounded 3 times in battles, many different roles you played, and especially for coming to the rescue of people on October 7th, the way you did, and putting your own life on the line in an incredibly dangerous situation. You've become one of my heroes, and I'm glad our people got to meet you a little bit here. Yaron Buskila is a IDF lieutenant colonel in the reserves, and he's the CEO of the Israel Defense and Security Forum. Thank you, Yaron, for your time today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to speak with you and with for your audience, and keep doing good for your people and for Israel. Thank you.
Yeah, Toda Rabah. We're going to see you next week on Thursday at 3 p.m. as well with another episode of the ICEJ webinar series. And don't forget, top of the hour, 4 o'clock, we'll have the global prayer gathering here from the International Christian Embassy. You can pray with Christians from all over the world, 4 o'clock Israel time today. And God bless you from Jerusalem.
Thank you for joining us for this informative webinar. Be sure to subscribe to our social media channels or visit our website at icej.org for upcoming webinars and more ICEJ exclusive content.